Good evening, welcome to another exciting edition of So Into Bourbon. Charlie, tell them what we're doing tonight.
Tonight we have a wonderful offering from the George Dickel Distillery at Cascade Hollow, a single barrel proof offering.
All right, Charlie, so George Dickel, 15-year single barrel.
Unbelievable. So first of all, let's just stop there. 15 years old, single barrel, barrel proof at 104.6 proof. Glenn, what did you pay for this particular bottle?
I paid around $60. Okay. Actually, I paid $54.99 at Meijer.
$54.99 on the shelf, right? Just sitting there,
yeah.
Right?
And still sitting there.
So 15 years.
15-year single barrel.
It's insane. Why is it still there?
Well, Charlie, I think because George Dickel is, tell them about George Dickel. Very, what's the word?
Polarizing.
Yes, polarizing.
It's a polarizing brand. It's a polarizing whiskey because it's not really bourbon, right? It's
Tennessee whiskey.
And that
similar
makes
to Jack Daniels.
People feel a sort of way, and people either love or hate George Dickel.
They do. And there's a particular flavor note that a lot of people complain about with George Dickel. They say it tastes like Flintstones vitamins. Mm-hmm. And and we've talked about this in previous episodes. I've had some George Dickel that I wouldn't even make a mixed drink with. And then I've had some that was really good that I picked in a blind.
We did a blind and you liked it. So trying to take out, this is what our channel exists for, trying to take out those preconceived notions and to examine the whiskey, the bourbon, the offering for what it is, which is a 15-year-old single barrel.
Absolutely, and my first thought when I bought this was to do a blind with it, but...
Well, I'm glad we're not, because I don't think, and I've been trying to think back, I don't think I've ever tasted a George Dickel single barrel.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. And I've seen some comments out there about this 15-year. It doesn't seem to be something that people really love, so I'm anxious to try it.
But I often, especially with something like George Dickel, where people are so vehemently opposed to it, right? Like, It's trash, I hate it, it tastes terrible. Like they get violently opinionated about it. And part of that is you wonder, are they just parroting what is popular in today's bourbon economy?
There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that. So I'm excited to taste it and drink it and relay to you, our devoted followers and viewers and subscribers, if it's any good.
Let's do it. So before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about George Dickel. So it's Cascade Hollow Distillery is the name of the distillery. The Mashbill on this is 84% corn, 8% rye, and 8% malted barley.
That's a very unique mash bill.
It is. As we've already said, it's 15 years old, obviously, 104.6 proof, and $54.99 to $60 range. Are you ready? You just want to get into it. Let's get into it.
Thank God. Beautiful color.
Yeah, it's got a really
nice,
really dark.
Yeah, like
copper.
almost like a brown.
Yeah,
it's almost brown.
More brown than the amber or copper color that you normally see. So far, I'm liking what I see.
Puts a nice little ring there at the top of it. Not super viscous, not super clingy to the glass, but whew, that's corny. Quite a bit of ethanol on that for a 104 proof. Just under 104.6, I'll call it 105.
You're right. On my second nosing, that ethanol really kind of hit me. But I don't know. I kind of like the nose.
I mean, it doesn't have a bad nose. A very kind of classic corn-forward bourbon.
Almost kind of a
little bit of brown.
Tobacco-y.
Yeah, the little sweetness there too on the end of it. I'm gonna have to stop nosing that because now I'm starting to get overpowered by that ethanol. Let's see if this thing good. 15-year bourbon, single barrel, rarefied air there.
Check it out. So my first thought is it has a really light mouthfeel.
Yeah.
Lighter than I expected. You go. I gotta ponder this and sit on this.
I was
going
to take another drink. We're just going to edit all this out, hopefully. I'm with you. First initial drink was light mouthfeel. It has a little spice to it on my first drink, which I was kind of surprised. I wasn't expecting there to be much, if any, kind of spiciness, but there is a little, especially on the front.
There's a lot of corn there, so a lot of that sweet caramely caramel corn flavor, but not to the extent that I don't like it. I kind of enjoy this.
To me, 2 drinks in, what I am getting is corn and oak. Mm-hmm. It is kind of that sweet, classic corn whiskey, corn liquor. There's a little bit of spice there, and it is pretty oaky. I mean, there is a lot of good oak character there. Mm-hmm. It's not terribly overpowering. The finish is all oak.
The finish is all oak. It's still lingering.
Yep.
Which I'm kind of digging that. I think if this were not aged 15 years, if it were, anywhere from 6 to 8 years, it would probably not be very good.
Well, it wouldn't be to your taste.
Right.
Because let's pause that. And you brought it up organically without me doing it, like we invented that. When you say something's bad, it's really dismissive in bourbon. And one of the things is toxic people in bourbon. When somebody says, I really like George Dickel, you don't look at them and be like, that's bad. They make bad whiskey.
Yeah,
no,
you're stupid.
You're stupid. It's not bad whiskey. It's not bad bourbon. It's just what you don't like it. That would be like accosting someone at the grocery store who's buying Brussels sprouts when you don't like it. Like, you're not the last name in what's good and don't decide what's good and what's bad. So just say it's outside of my flavor profile that I enjoy. Rant over bourbon PSA.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, for what I paid for this, $54.99 for a 15-year single barrel, I enjoy it. I would buy it again, and I will enjoy this bottle.
I'll give you a great comparison point is Henry McKenna, 10-year from Heaven Hill, mm-hmm. widely, is often credited with really pushing the bourbon craze. It won the major award, Whiskey of the Year, and everybody lost their mind. And it was a $20 bottle, and now it's a $60 bottle or more. That's a 10-year bottled in bond single barrel for more mm-hmm. than you would pay for this 15-year single barrel. And I bet you can find this more readily available than the Henry McKenna. I have had many Henry McKenna, and I think this stands up to any of those that I've had.
Sure.
And the last couple Henry McKennas that I've had, this beats it.
And this has I'm getting a really nice chocolatey, caramelly finish on it the longer it kind of lingers on my tongue.
It is a really nice, and I think it's well proofed for the age.
Yeah.
A really nice, hyper aged, and make no mistake, 15 years in this market is hyper aged. This is a great offering and what you want from a 15-year.
It's oaky without being over oaked. Mm-hmm. Something interesting about this distillery is they have a female distiller.
Yeah.
Nicole Austin.
Wow.
Who also happens to be the GM.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
we're seeing more of that happening in the bourbon world, aren't we?
You make it, you don't see that all the time, but I would argue you only see it now.
True. Yeah.
Because I believe Woodford Reserve, Old Forester now. Mm-hmm. Who else? There was somebody else. I cannot remember who.
Oh, who's the lady who was at Castle and Key?
Oh, yes.
And I think she's gone and started her own.
She started her own. Yep. Yeah. So it's which is great. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
The more people that get into bourbon, the better for all of us who enjoy America's native spirit. Rant over. Glenn, rate it. I'll give it a solid 7.25. 7.25. And I will tell you why. It's good. It's fine. I may even go toward a 7 because, and I've talked about this in our episodes, one of my least favorite characters of bourbon is that kind of crazy oak. This has it. It's good and it's pleasant, but this is not something that I would reach for all the time to have a big sip of. but I'd like to have it on my bar to let other people taste it. 7, solid 7.
So I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Oh.
I would like to score it higher because of the value, the age, once again, where can you buy a $60, 15-year single barrel whiskey for that price? So I'm going to give it a 7.5. Is it my favorite? Is it something that I'm going to crave and just search out? No, but I would buy it again, and I would reach for it on a cold winter night when you want something to just kind of warm you up.
I think that's a good bottle. I really do. And I think that's something nice if you have the means to pick up, because like you said, that's going to hold up well. It's proofed well. It's old enough and it has enough character there. Made in a cocktail, fine. Pour it over a big rock or little rocks, fine. Neat. It holds up. I think that's a check a lot of boxes, and it lets people that come over. If you're anything like us, when people come over to your house, they want to taste all the stuff.
Yeah.
You probably don't have a lot of 15-year-old stuff on your bar, so
try this 15-year.
Try this 15-year.
Started to say bourbon. We don't want to do that, do we?
Tennessee whiskey.
All right, Charlie, let's wrap this up. Why don't you tell them what to do?
Number 1, you should like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, because that's what makes this whole thing go.
Check us out on Facebook, So Into Bourbon, and Instagram, So Into Bourbon, and I'm on TikTok, of course, Whiskey Realtor.
And most of all, you need to keep those wallets loose and then bung holes tight. Good night, everybody.
Peace out. What's the word when something really makes people be on one side or the other?
Polarizing.
Polarizing.
And
yes.
Thank you. No. My commentary. That's what I was going to say about.
You were? So was I. Okay, you can say it.
You didn't even know the word.
I knew the word.
No,
I just
you start. It's your episode. You started off and all. Tennessee whiskey.
Testing. Check 1 2 1 2 1 2. George Dickel.
It's GG George Dickel. George Dickel, Cascade Hollow, take 655. Action.